So at 12 o'clock tomorrow, the government is all set to table the WAQF Amendment Bill. 8 hours have been allocated for discussion. The stage is set for the WAQF showdown. Both the NDA and the opposition blocs have prepared or are in the process of preparing their strategy. So the NDA is trying to get both the JDU and the TDP on board. Their support crucial to see the passage of the WAQF Amendment Bill. The opposition bloc strategy meeting will take place in about 55 minutes from now. Close to 6 is when the India bloc strategy meeting happens to chart out their course. How will their numbers add up? So we'll get you all sides of how preparations are going. Information we seem to be getting from Union Minority Affairs Minister and Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju is that 8 hours have now been allocated for the discussion. But if the discussion takes longer, then they'll try and get a sense of the House. The discussion can go on. He said, according to the time allocated, as per the strength of the party, there can be a discussion. He says everybody should come forward, everybody should participate in a discussion. Whatever are their points of view, just present it on the floor of the House and then let's take this forward. Don't boycott it, don't stay out of it. I want to quickly bring in India Today's Piyush Mishra joining us with the latest on this big story, the WAQF Amendment Bill. Is the government confident of passage? How is the government shoring up numbers, especially getting crucial allies like TDP and JDU on board, Piyush?
Well, Gaurav, government is very confident of getting this bill passed because it has already got the support of TDP, LJP, JDU and other constituents who are part of India. Apart from this, the sources within the government are telling us that there are some MPs who are likely to vote in favor of this vote by going against the party line. A good number, this bill is going to be passed with a good number, a huge majority. That's what the government believes, and that is why the government, BJP, in fact, really talks with various other, political parties who are part of NDA. 12 hours were asked by opposition, but the government has decided to allot 8 hours in the Business Advisory Committee meeting. Today in the morning at around 12:30, when this meeting took place, opposition political parties walked out of a BAC meeting by saying that the government did not listen to their demand of having discussion on Manipur and the epic issue. They are also saying that the government is trying to dilute the WAQF issue and the Manipur issue, and that is why they walked out. But it has now been decided that the government is now going to bring WAQF Amendment Bill tomorrow at 12 noon and is very confident of getting the bill passed from Lok Sabha as it wants to have a wider deliberation on this bill. The government has already said that it is very much ready to have a discussion on each and every clause, each and every point which will be raised.
Stay with me for a moment. That's a crucial point that you are raising. Government says let's discuss it threadbare. Let's discuss every aspect that the opposition wants to raise. So when Barrister Asaduddin Owaisi claims that this is unconstitutional, discuss it on the floor of the House. When opposition leaders say this is infringement on rights of minorities or interference in their internal affairs and a violation of Article 26 of the Constitution, government says discuss it on the floor of the House. But what about numbers? Everything boils down to numbers in Parliament. And the JDU, big story, because there was tremendous suspense. Where is the JDU on this? And the JDU, we are told, has just made its stance clear on the WAQF Amendment Bill. The JDU will back WAQF Bill in Parliament. The JDU has said they are with the government on the WAQF Amendment. The JDU had suggested certain changes. They wanted certain clauses to be added, certain modifications to be made in the JPC. We are told several Muslim leaders in Bihar had met Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar. They had their apprehensions. He passed them on to JDU leaders in Lok Sabha. In the JPC, they were taken up, and now they've been assured that all their apprehensions have been addressed in the bill. Let's quickly listen into Ramnath Thakur in conversation with Piyush Mishra.
कल हम सरकार बिल ला रही है तो हम सरकार के साथ है, हम सरकार के अंग है। वो विरोधी पक्ष जो कहता है वो उनको कहने का है, विरोध करने का है। हम बिल में क्या है इसका अध्ययन करेंगे तभी तो कोई बात नहीं।
So with BJP's 240, that's another crucial 12 that's added to these numbers. For simple majority, 272 is what is required. 293 is what the NDA has if everyone is on board. But I want to bring in Piyush Mishra. Piyush, JDU had certain apprehensions. Initially, Lalan Singh had very strongly said that they stand with reforms. They want reforms and they accuse the opposition of fear-mongering. But there were, in middle of all of this, there were some apprehensions that it could adversely impact their Muslim voters in Bihar in the upcoming elections. What is the thinking in the JDU now?
Well, certainly the JDU, TDP had some reservations, they had some apprehensions, and that is why the parties like JDU and TDP both had vouched for sending this bill to the Joint Parliamentary Committee. We still remember that when this bill was initially introduced in the Parliament by Minority Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju, it was TDP and JDU who had also supported the demand of a Joint Parliamentary Committee, and in that committee, when the voices of JDU were heard, they had given at least 2 amendments and TDP had given 3 amendments. Now in the fresh bill which has been passed with 14 amendments, in this amended bill, the government has accepted all the amendments those were given by JDU and TDP, and that is why both the parties have made it very, very clear that yes, the government are going to vote in favor of this bill. Is again brought for passing and consideration. So the government is not going to face any kind of problem when this bill is tabled tomorrow. 8 hours of discussion will take place, beginning the discussions will be initiated by Minority Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju. He is going to table the bill, and after that we can expect leader of opposition to speak, and then the other speakers from opposition and government will speak, and detailed discussion will take place. What we are told is that the likes of Asadul Owaisi, Imran Masood from Congress, Akhilesh Yadav from Samajwadi Party, they all are going to speak, and then BJP will have its own speakers, and other NDA allies will also put their point forward as far as their concerns or their support for the bill is concerned. So most likely by tomorrow itself, this bill is going to be passed on Lok Sabha after the final reply by the government.
Very, very interesting times ahead. So 12 o'clock tomorrow is when Kiran Rijiju, the Minority Affairs Minister and the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, he presents this bill, the WAQF Amendment Bill. Another big story we're getting here on India Today, and that is the Telugu Desam Party, the TDP, has pledged full support to the government on the WAQF Amendment Bill. The TDP has extended total support to the amendment in the WAQF Amendment Bill, saying all their issues have also been addressed. TDP to vote in favor of the WAQF Amendment Bill. 3 amendments had been suggested by the Telugu Desam Party in the JPC, and all of them have been adopted in the WAQF Amendment Bill. Amendments with regards to the user, the WAQF user. The amendments with regard to the district collector, the district magistrate not being the final authority, not the determining authority, is something that TDP insisted on. That's also been accepted. And they also sought increasing a deadline for submission of digital documents by 6 months. That too has now been accepted. So we are told that even the TDP is now on board. The WAQF Amendment Bill, which was amended after this report of the Joint Parliamentary Panel, will be taken up for consideration and passage tomorrow at 12 noon. So it's an 8-hour-long debate that's been proposed by the Minority Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju. Now, will they be able to see this through? We'll get to the story of how numbers appear to stack up, but by all accounts, it's not just the BJP with its 240, the TDP, the JDU, the HUM, their alliance partners, all of them are as of now on board. We get you more in this report.
The stage is set for a fiery showdown over the WAQF Amendment Bill. The bill will be tabled at around noon on Wednesday as per the decision taken in Lok Sabha Business Advisory Committee. 8 hours have been allocated to debate WAQF Amendment Bill in Lok Sabha.
The total time to be allocated for discussion on WAQF Amendment Bill would be 8 hours, extendable after taking the sense of the House.
Rijiju warned opposition against fear-mongering on WAQF.
मैं सिर्फ हाथ जोड़ करके कहता हूं कि अगर बिल में बोलने के लिए कुछ नहीं है तो बहाना बना करके टाइम का बिजनेस एडवाइजरी कमेटी का बहाना बना करके वॉकआउट करने का ये सब मत कीजिए। जो समय तय किया गया है खुलकर बोलिए, हम सुनना चाहता हूं और एक पॉइंट एक सेक्शन क्लोज का हम जवाब देने के लिए बिल्कुल तैयार हैं।
Though TDP and JDU have cautioned the centre against implementing the new law retrospectively, saying they will reveal their cards after going through WAQF law draft.
अभी भी जो कुछ आ रहा है उसमें हमारे पार्टी और नीतीश कुमार जी से बहुत लोग मिले थे। ये जरूर हम लोग के तरफ से है कि भाई रिट्रोस्पेक्टिव नहीं हो, अगर पास्ट में कोई बात है तो उसको उस पर कोई आंच नहीं आए। ये हम लोगों ने जरूर, हमारी पार्टी ने कहा था, मुझे लगता है जरूर जो कमेटी है सरकार है इसको ध्यान में रखेगी।
UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath slammed loot of public land in garb of WAQF.
ये व्यक्तिगत स्वार्थ का एक अड्डे बने हुए हैं। चंद लोगों के लिए लूट खसोट के अड्डे बने हुए हैं। किसी भी सरकारी प्रॉपर्टी पर जबरन काबिज करने का एक माध्यम बना हुआ है। और रिफॉर्म इस समय की मांग है। हर रिफॉर्म का विरोध होता है, लेकिन देश काल और परिस्थिति के अनुसार हमें उस प्रकार के रिफॉर्म के लिए तैयार होना चाहिए।
The opposition has slammed the WAQF bill, calling it a calculated ploy to deprive Muslims of land and a direct attack on constitution.
जब से सत्ता में बीजेपी आई है, बीजेपी का उद्देश्य सिर्फ ये रहा है कि किस तरह से इस देश में सद्भाव बिगड़े। ऐसा है, ये तो बिल आ रहा है, बिल नहीं आया उससे पहले प्रॉपर्टी नहीं छीनी जा रही। लोग प्रॉपर्टी छोड़िए, लोगों को जान से मारा जा रहा है, लोगों की हत्याएं की जा रही हैं, लोगों को पुलिस संरक्षण में मारा जा रहा है, तो प्रॉपर्टी छीनने का अगर उन्हें संदेह है, डर है तो सही है।
ये वक्फ बिल अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल है। ये वक्फ बिल आर्टिकल 14, आर्टिकल 25, 26, 29 का ग्रेव वायलेशन है। ये वक्फ बिल नहीं है, बल्कि ये वक्फ बर्बाद बिल है। ये
Will the WAQF bill pass Lok Sabha test, or there is a surprise in store? With Ashwara Paliwal, Bureau Report, India Today.
Of course, there are some, even amongst the Muslim community, who are strongly in favor of reforms in the WAQF, and they want this WAQF Amendment Bill to come. But there are also other minorities. For example, the Catholic Bishops' Council of India. They want reforms because they say their land too has been usurped. And I spoke to the Ajmer Sharif Dargah's chief, Sayyid Nasiruddin Chishti. He has very strongly advocated reforms and the WAQF Amendment Act. क्या आप मानते हैं कि वक्फ बिल इस समय जरूरी है और किस तरह के बदलाव और सुधार की जरूरत है वक्फ के मामलों में?
देखिए, मेरा खुद का जाती एक्सपीरियंस है, हमारी खुद की फैमिली का एक्सपीरियंस है कि वक्फ बोर्ड में किस तरीके से करप्शन होता है। तो वक्फ बोर्ड में अमेंडमेंट होना, वक्फ एक्ट में अमेंडमेंट होने की जरूरत है। प्रॉपर्टी जो डेडिकेट की जाती है उसके अंदर पारदर्शिता आनी चाहिए कि वो अकॉर्डिंग टू द डिजायर ऑफ द डोनर इस्तेमाल हो रही है, नहीं हो रही है। प्रॉपर्टी की जो मार्केट वैल्यू है उसके अकॉर्डिंग उसका रेंट तय होना चाहिए। और प्रॉपर्टी जो डेडिकेट की जाती है, वक्फ का मतलब ये है कि अल्लाह के नाम पे वक्फ किया जाता है कि इस प्रॉपर्टी का इस्तेमाल, अगर वो वक्फ अलग औलाद नहीं है तो इस प्रॉपर्टी का इस्तेमाल गरीब गुरबाओं के लिए, यतीम बच्चों के लिए और कम्युनिटी के अपलिफ्टमेंट के लिए होना चाहिए। आज कौन सा वक्फ बोर्ड है जो कोई वेलफेयर स्कीम चला रहा है? आज कौन सा वक्फ बोर्ड है जो स्कूल चला रहा है? आज कौन सा वक्फ बोर्ड है जो कॉलेज चला रहा है? आज कौन सा वक्फ बोर्ड है जो हॉस्पिटल चला रहा है? कहीं नहीं चला रहा। तो फिर वक्फ का मतलब क्या? फिर वक्फ का पैसा कहाँ जा रहा है? कुछ एक लोगों ने आप गैंग बना ली पूरे देश के अंदर और वो लोग ही सारे काम कर रहे हैं। वक्फ बोर्ड के मुलाजिमों को ट्रांसफर होती नहीं है कभी। आप बता दीजिए, जो स्टेट वक्फ बोर्ड के अंदर मुलाजिम है वो जिंदगी भर उसी पोस्ट पे रहेगा और रिटायर होके जाएगा वहां से। ट्रांसफरेबल पोस्ट नहीं है तो करप्शन तो बढ़ेगा ना।
तो ये बड़ी बात आप कह रहे हैं। आप ये कह रहे हैं कि वक्फ का पैसा इस समय कहां जा रहा है? वो पैसा जो मुस्लिम महिलाओं के लिए, बच्चों के लिए, जरूरतमंदों के लिए, मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी को फायदा पहुंचाने के लिए जाना चाहिए। तो अगर वो पैसा कहीं जा रहा है और आप करप्शन की बात कर रहे हैं, तो फिर इतने सारे मुस्लिम संगठन और इतनी सारी पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज, जो राजनीतिक दल हैं, विपक्ष है भारत का, वो फिर इस वक्फ अमेंडमेंट बिल का विरोध क्यों कर रहे हैं?
अब ये तो वो लोग ही बताएंगे, संगठन, वो उनके दिल पे हाथ रख के वो बताएं कि क्यों विरोध कर रहे हैं। लेकिन मैं भी मुसलमान हूँ, उन संगठनों सबको बताना चाहता हूँ, मैं भी मुसलमान हूँ, मैं भी कलमा गो हूँ, मैं भी जानता हूँ कि अल्लाह की प्रॉपर्टी है वक्फ। लेकिन अल्लाह शराब पीने वाले को माफ कर देता है, अल्लाह अपने माल खाने वाले को माफ नहीं करेगा। ठीक है, हमारा सबका शरई फर्ज बनता है अपने अपने दिलों पे हाथ रखें, कुरान उठाएं कि हाँ, अमेंडमेंट क्या हो सकता है आपके सेक्शन में, आप चाहते कि नहीं इस तरीके से नहीं, इस तरीके से अमेंडमेंट हो, उसके लिए सार्थक चर्चा करके पॉलिटिकल पार्टी से अप्रोच करें, अपोजिशन से अप्रोच करके कोई अच्छा अमेंडमेंट करा लें अपनी मर्जी से। लेकिन आप कहते हैं कि नहीं, करप्शन, ये अमेंडमेंट होने नहीं चाहिए, तो ये तो फिर आपकी पॉलिटिकल लड़ाई है। और फिर कौम को गुमराह कर रहे हैं, सड़क पे आ जाओ, मस्जिदें जा रही हैं, दरगाहें जा रही हैं, इमाम बाड़े जा रहे हैं, अरे कहाँ जा रहे हैं? कहाँ इस एक्ट में ऐसा प्रोविजन है? एक क्लोज बता दीजिए मुझे।
बड़ी बात आप कह रहे हैं कि अल्लाह माल खाने वालों को कभी माफ नहीं करेंगे, ये आपका कहना है। तो आप नहीं मानते कि अगर ये वक्फ का बिल लाया गया तो मुसलमानों के अधिकार छिन जाएंगे, या सरकार उनके धर्म में गलत इंटरफेरेंस कर रही है, हस्तक्षेप कर रही है, दखलंदाजी कर रही है?
देखिए, मुसलमानों के अधिकार वक्फ के अंदर हैं क्या? वक्फ के अंदर तो उसके अधिकार होते हैं जो वक्फ करता है, वाकिफ, डोनर जिसको कहते हैं, उसके अधिकार होते हैं। आम मुसलमान के अधिकार नहीं होते वक्फ के अंदर। वक्फ का रिलेशन तो उसी से होगा जो प्रॉपर्टी को अपनी वक्फ कर रहा है। तो उन लोगों को देखना कि उनकी प्रॉपर्टी सही यूटिलाइजेशन हो रहा नहीं हो रहा है। अगर अधिकार उनके बाधित होंगे तो उन लोगों के होंगे। ये आम मुसलमान से कैसे जोड़ा जा रहा है? आम मुसलमान तो बेचारा रोजी रोटी कमाने सुबह निकलता है, शाम को घर में आता है अपने। आम मुसलमान को तो मालूम ही नहीं वक्फ है क्या, वक्फ के अंदर होता क्या है।
So there are those who say that the WAQF Amendment Bill is anti-Muslim. They're saying that it's unconstitutional, that it's discriminatory. Joining me now on this special broadcast on 5 Live is Zeenat Shaukat Ali, Founder Director General of the Wisdom Foundation. And Zeenat Shaukat Ali, I want to understand from you, madam, is the WAQF Amendment Bill anti-Muslim? Will it take away Muslim properties, their masjids, their khanqahs, their ibadat, the qabristan?
No, I don't think that it is anti-Muslim at all. And, Islam itself has always been for reform. That's point number one. Islam is a religion of the future and the present. And we have to move on. And there have been a lot of discrepancies, as we have seen, misuse, non-accountability by the people who have been controlling WAQF as from now. I don't think we have to go into any further details because that is all out in the open, and that should never have happened. And what the Supreme Court has also given certain guidelines, I think those guidelines need to be followed. At the same time, you see, there are 2 or 3, factors that are disturbing me in my mind, because I am for reform, and I do feel that every act has to look into the future and into the betterment of the community, and this is for the betterment of the community that we are looking at. But there are 2 or 3 things, for example, that are disturbing me, and that I would like to bring that out. And that is, that the when the JPC, the opposition has been stating that their dissent notes have been deleted. The dissent notes that have been presented by the opposition, because you see, we are an open society, and Parliament is open ground for discussion of very serious issues of this nature. But when they have said that when the report was tabled, certain points of theirs have been deleted, to which the government said that that they were right to do so in the deletions, because the aspirations that were expressed by the committee were not quite right. But now they have agreed that these dissent notes will be looked into. So I think we need a deeper more transparent, a more open, discussion, so that we may have in future laws that are going to be beneficial, not only to the Muslims, but take them ahead and, join the national mainstream in many issues. So that
So
is the
is
one
there
point
merit when it is said that certain political parties for appeasement, vote bank politics are doing fear-mongering, that Kabristan will be taken away, graveyards will be taken away, or mosques will be taken away, or madrasas will be taken away, because Minority Affairs Minister says none of this is true, none of this will happen, and let's have an open debate in Parliament with that the whole nation can watch. It will be live on television.
Yes, Gaurav, I completely fall in line, and I agree with that there has to be an open debate. And, when what you're talking about is there are certain myths that have been created, that mosques will be taken away, the entire functional working of certain committees will be, handed over. So all these, there are many myths that have revolved around this, and they have taken a sort of a dimension that is leading people to say that this is a very anti-constitutional act. See? So these myths have to be overcome. Clarifications have to be presented. Now, for example, there is one clarification that I would need, is that if there is any action to be taken on a Waqf board or taken against the Waqf board, then there is a district collector who has been appointed, who can make a decision on certain matters. Now, to my mind, I think a single individual looking at such a this has been a vast and controversial territory. Why not go to the courts? If there is a dispute, then why should the courts not look at it instead of
Perhaps when you read the bill, there is a provision which was not there earlier, madam. There is a provision now to appeal in courts, which was not there earlier, which has been introduced. And perhaps when you go through, and that was the point I was coming to, and that is why on India Today, we are putting out facts. The myths that have been spread, that there is no, the district collector is the final authority. That was an apprehension that the Telugu Desam party had also voiced, that DC should not be the final authority. That has been addressed. And, when the government was talking about it, they said you can approach courts. Any decision, you approach courts. Earlier, you could not against an order of the Waqf. Now you can, is what the government says. But go on, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a clarification that I did not know of. I'm happy about that. Okay. Now, the second point is, my second misapprehension in my mind is that, there are going to be, as India, we are a secular country with many religions, many cultures, and we have always had mixed boards. But somehow with religious endowments, now, for example, there are the Parsis, there are the Jains, there are the Buddhists, there are the Sikhs, etc. All of them, when they have, their own endowments, they do not, there are no non-Muslims on those endowments. So I would say that yes, you have non-Muslims on Muslim endowments, but is that secular to say that on no other endowments do we have non-Muslims? It has to cut across in all fairness. You see what my point is, that as a secular democratic nation, a very proud nation with an excellent constitution, we also must have that, if we are introducing other people of other faiths who may be experts in the line into one kind of endowment, the other endowments also should have the same.
Should corruption in Waqf be investigated? How much land does Waqf actually have? Where is that income coming from? How is that income being spent? If the government is looking into it, or authorities are looking into it, is that interference in internal affairs of Muslims?
No. I think that is very correct, because, by use of what the Supreme Court has laid down, I've seen those carefully. I think those are very correct parameters that have been placed, and the accountability even by the Muslims for their own trust. You have to be accountable for everything that you're doing, and they have not shown that kind of a systematic, a clean sheet that I would be able to give.
Okay.
So as far as that is concerned, there has been a lot of corruption. And
to ensure that documentation is done, I want to understand from you, how is a property a Waqf property? What is the document that's available? All of it should be online. There should be a portal. There should be transparency. Is that good, madam? Is that what is what is required?
Yes, absolutely. Because you see, you cannot say that what happened 500 years ago and, there is no documentation. There has to be proper documentation, as the Supreme Court has said. Who has given this land, to whom, at what stage, what have you done? Even the Sachar Committee report, it stated that, the multiplication of the monies are minimal. It was, I think, 2.7%, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
I may be making a mistake on that. So, you see, all that has to be considered. You're right. I am falling in line with it. But what my
where is all that money going? Where is all that money going? Is it actually benefiting Muslim widows and is it benefiting those children?
Misused, and it has to be examined and looked into. My only point of discussion is that when you're forming, now, we are moving one step on. We are removing the corruption. We are trying to get people into line. We are trying to give the benefits to the community, educational institutions, economic development of the community, all that will count. My only question was that, that other trusts also must include. We must have a panel cutting across all endowments where certain rules and regulations must apply.
Perhaps like a uniform civil code, let it be uniform for every religion. Same rules in the country should apply to all. That's a pertinent point you make there, ma'am. I need to slip into a quick break here, but this is a story we'll be tracking. And Zeenat Shokatari, as always, many thanks for joining me here on this 5 Live special. There is anger in India's northeastern states after Bangladesh's chief advisor to the government, Nobel laureate Professor Muhammad Yunus, made a reference to India's 7 sisters, the 7 landlocked states, saying that Bangladesh is the guardian of the ocean and that's the access that they have. Political leaders of the northeastern states have hit back and hit hard at Professor Muhammad Yunus. This after Bangladesh's interim government advisor raked up the 7 sisters, referring to them as landlocked, in a bid to woo China and to seek more Chinese investment in Bangladesh. So Professor Muhammad Yunus's rather desperate appeal to Beijing to invest in Bangladesh has drawn an angry and a strong response from chief ministers of several Indian states. For example, the Assam chief minister, Himanta Sarma. He called Professor Muhammad Yunus's comments provocative and unacceptable. He warned that such statements actually reflect a deeper strategic consideration and long-standing agendas that must not be ignored. To counter such risks, Himanta Sarma called for scaling up infrastructure. That's a very pertinent point he's making, and hear this carefully. Himanta Sarma, Chief Minister of Assam, is calling up for scaling up infrastructure across the region, particularly by focusing on that very narrow Siliguri Corridor or the Chicken's Neck Corridor. I'll tell you more about it during the course of the broadcast. Now, Tipra Mohta Party Chief Pradyot Manikya has also issued a very strong response suggesting that India should take a more aggressive approach towards securing India's access to the seas for the northeast. He suggested in some ways a route through Bangladesh. Congress's Gaurav, Gogoi, TMC's Abhishek Banerjee, they too slammed Professor Muhammad Yunus. So this isn't just government or ruling party, but this is India speaking in one voice. From Gaurav Gogoi of the Congress party to Trinamool Congress's Abhishek Banerjee, this is India speaking in one voice. This shows the collective power of our country. So Professor Muhammad Yunus told Chinese investors, he was trying to woo them, that India's northeastern states are landlocked and that Bangladesh is the only guardian of the Indian Ocean. What are the implications, the ramifications? Why did he see this? How should India read this and see through his designs?
7 states of India, eastern part of India, called 7 sisters. They are landlocked country, landlocked region of India. They have no way to reach out to the ocean. We are the only guardian of the ocean for all this region. So this opens up a huge possibility. So this could be an extension of the Chinese economy, build things, produce things, market things, bring things to Nepal, China, bring it out to the whole rest of the world. That's the production house for you. So that's the opportunity we should seize and we should implement, we should get it done. Nepal has unlimited hydropower, which is a blessing. Bhutan has unlimited hydropower. That's a blessing. We can bring it to our purpose, to our setting up our factories and so on. And from Bangladesh, you can go anywhere you want because the ocean is in our backyard. So this is the opportunity that we want to take. And not necessarily it will be something you produce and sell it to the world. You can produce in Bangladesh, sell it to China too.
Assam is connected to the rest of India through the chicken neck. Chicken neck is an important discussion, even in political lexicon also. Many people threaten that we will cut the chicken necks and we will disrupt Northeast. But today, our railway minister has announced that over the chicken neck, there will be 4 railway tracks to increase railway connectivity to Assam. And I am sure at appropriate time, he will also announce minimum 2 railway line under the chicken necks. That is also, I am sure that is also in his mind. And obviously that is going to come. And we are a new India under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, and we are capable of delivering that.
I think this is a very shocking statement by Chief Advisor Muhammad Yunus. He has absolutely no right to make a statement like that. He knows that the Northeast is an integral part of India, and we have had very close discussions with the government of Bangladesh on access by Northeast India to the Bay of Bengal. I must say that we must condemn this statement because the manner in which it was made, as though the Northeast belongs to Bangladesh, and actually this, I must tell you that this is an old habit of the BNP government.
Well, as you know very well, we created Bangladesh. Yeah. And you also know that we did not take any cartographic advantage. And now Bangladesh is saying that China must help and China must get into the 7 states. If Mr. Yunus thinks that he can get away with, he's sadly mistaken, because India is not what they are used to, that we never thought in terms of these strategic advantages. Now India is fully aware of it, and Mr. Yunus' idea is only going to remain as an idea.
So Himanta Biswa Sarma very specifically spoke of the chicken's neck or the Siliguri Corridor. Let's tell you a little more about it before I bring in our special guests on this broadcast. The chicken's neck or that Siliguri Corridor is a very narrow strip of land in Bengal. It's about 60 kilometers long and just about 22 kilometers wide. Borders Nepal, Bhutan and Bangladesh, as you can see. It connects the northeastern states to West Bengal and the rest of the country. But how should one view this statement of Professor Muhammad Yunus? Joining me on this special broadcast is Ambassador Veena Sikri, India's former High Commissioner to Bangladesh. Also with me is Lieutenant General Syed Atta Hasnain. He's former Kashmir Corps Commander, but someone who's also served extensively in this area. And Ambassador Sikri, you said India should condemn this statement. Now, why is this statement not above board in your appreciation?
Well, 2 things I think we have to say very clearly. First of all, you're talking about as if Bangladesh controls every access for the Northeast. I must tell your viewers that as in the northeastern states, they do have access to Calcutta port. They have been doing it for 70 years. But it is true, we have agreed with the government of Bangladesh. We have agreement with them of long standing. Over the last 15 years, it has been evolved for giving the northeast states access to the Bay of Bengal through Chittagong port and Mongla port. This is the Chittagong port which comes through Tripura, and then you have a bridge on the river Feni, and then you come to the 75 kilometer Chittagong. On Mongla port side, which is just 1 day sailing from Kolkata, you have the riverine transport going all the way across to Zakiganj in the northeast. So these are agreements. Now, if Bangladesh does not want to abide by these agreements. It's a very serious matter because you expect that international agreements between two countries, they should be abided by. But instead, Yunus is pretending that these agreements don't exist and that, Bangladesh has full control and they're the guardians of the ocean, which is completely incorrect. The guardian of the Bay of Bengal are three countries: India, Bangladesh, and Myanmar. There is no such thing as, Bangladesh being guardian of that. Now, and the second thing that is very disturbing on what he said is that he's talking about, bringing electricity from Bhutan, bringing electricity from Nepal. Now, here they all have to go through India. So, as far as India is concerned, Yunus is absolutely sure that India will give access to electricity from Bhutan to Bangladesh, electricity from Nepal to Bangladesh, but Bangladesh will not give access to northeastern states to go through Chittagong and Mongla port. This is completely one-sided. He should not expect anything like that. In fact, if Bangladesh thinks that they are going to deny access to northeastern states to the agreed access to Chittagong and Mongla ports, then why should India respect the rights of a lower riparian states and give them any share in the river waters? Everything is based on give and take. Everything is based on a mutual understanding, on friendship, on trusting each other. But China,
this clearly is an indication, General Hasnain, that India or Bangladesh is giving India no reason under Muhammad Yunus to trust Bangladesh. Every action appears to be more hostile than his previous one.
See, Gaurav, there is no doubt about it that this message which Muhammad Yunus was conveying was not a message from Bangladesh proper. It was actually a message right out of the ISI's book itself. Because the ISI has been very, very active here, all this while. It's been very, very active. And because of that, putting words in his mouth, making this statement from time to time, we know that in this kind of a diplomatic standoff, these kind of statements make a difference, make a huge difference. This is generally to put India off, create some kind of a rift with the Chinese and hope like hell that Bangladesh will be the beneficiary of it. It's quite clear that Bangladesh will probably try or attempt to do something within their own infrastructure to create obstacles for the movement of Indian traffic. But it's not necessarily that it will happen. This is just a question of a lot of rhetoric which is going on. And this is also the radicals behind him who are making these statements. Attempt is to provoke. That's the whole idea. The attempt is to provoke, and we need not get provoked. I think the Assam Chief Minister, the Honorable Chief Minister's statements were absolutely correct, bang on today. That we will continue to create our infrastructure. That infrastructure will be guarded, will be secured, and will be utilized as per our requirements all the time.
Okay. Ambassador Sikri, India had permitted Pakistan to punch far above its weight for decades, only to realize that Pakistan, as the External Affairs Minister very recently put it, that, that DNA is bigoted. Pakistan cannot change. You cannot expect better from Pakistan. Are we to understand, under the likes of Muhammad Yunus and the radicals who are on center stage in Bangladesh, Bangladesh is no different from Pakistan? It's the same DNA.
Well, actually, one must understand, your question is absolutely correct, but one must understand that these are the people who are in power today, the Jamaat-e-Islami, backed by Pakistan with the Razakars. They are the ones who lost in 1971. And surely they have the same DNA. They do have the same DNA because they were on the same side in 1971. They didn't want the creation of Bangladesh. So today, when Yunus is there as a puppet with the Jamaat-e-Islami and Hizb ut-Tahrir and all the Islamist parties behind him, the Hifadhat-e-Islam and the Islami Andolan Bangladesh, they all want to follow the Pakistan playbook. But I must tell you that one thing is there, that Yunus is losing popularity very fast in Bangladesh. Nobody expected this kind of a rise of radical extremism and them trying to take over. In fact, Yunus is copying the Islamist playbook because his special assistant Mahfouz Alam, who is a member of Hizb ut-Tahrir, already put a tweet showing West Bengal and the northeastern states and all of them as part of what is called Banglastan, that they're going to take over all of this and it's going to become one of them. Of course, he deleted the tweet later, but the damage had been done. So I think that one has to understand this playbook that is there, and they're trying to provoke India, as General Said Atta Hassan very correctly said, into responding. But I think that we have to be very clear on this, and we cannot be quiet on it, because this will only encourage Yunus to go and do some more of such threats, and to posture himself 1,000 times bigger than he actually is. And we have to see that Yunus is a constitutionally illegal government. They have
absolutely unelected leader playing in the hands of radical Islamists. An economy that was doing well in Bangladesh is suddenly, General Hasnain, it's in tatters. It's in tatters in Bangladesh, but it's exactly in an opportunity like this to divert attention from their failing economy, from their collapsing society. Bangladesh would want to focus on, one, trying to bring their religion to unite their country, and trying to paint India as the villain, and perhaps using our Northeast as part of, in their playbook. Is that an apprehension? What are countermeasures that India must take?
See, Gaurav, we have followed a very, very sensible, stable policy so far since the 5th of August 2024. There have been attempts to intimidate us at every juncture. I think the kind of statements which the Honorable Chief Minister of Assam has just made is the kind of thing which sort of is a good response without any rhetoric, typical and a good Indian response, I would say. We have not been intimidating ourselves. We haven't used any strong language at all. Tomorrow, the day after, the Prime Minister will very well meet Muhammad Yunus at the BIMSTEC meeting too. We don't know whether it's going to be a meeting on the sidelines yet. But I think the way our diplomacy has gone has been a very, very mature display. That's the way it should continue for the moment, although we must continue to keep our necessary diplomatic tools also sharpened, so that if push comes to shove, then we must go all out and ensure that.
So, Ambassador Sikri, we are told military-to-military relations between India and Bangladesh were, are, and perhaps shall remain extremely strong. But can the military drill some sense into these radical Islamists in Bangladesh? I'm told there was a meeting between Professor Muhammad Yunus and General Waqar, the army chief. Or do you think the situation has gone really out of hand, and even the army may not be in a situation or a position to control it?
No, the army, I must say, is the one factor of authority and stability in Bangladesh. And they are the one factor that the people of Bangladesh recognize, that they are a factor of authority and stability, and what they say will prevail. On 24th of February this year, that just about 4 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago, actually the General Waqar, the army chief of Bangladesh, made a very strong statement, pointing directly at Yunus and saying enough is enough. Yes. And they want stability, and the army had been called out and given police powers and given magistracy powers, but they have been lying low. They've been acting very normally because they don't want to, make it very obvious that the army is there. But he said that he will take action if the situation continues the way it is, and he decried the complete anarchy, the complete law and order breakdown, the breakdown of the economy, and he was reflecting the grave sense of dissatisfaction that exists among the people of Bangladesh. After that, of course, there has been a meeting, and there has been some kind of a makeup. But I think General Waqar statement stands there very strongly, and should the situation continue as it is, anything can happen in Bangladesh. And I think we have to be very clear that the popularity of this regime of Yunus, backed by the Jamaat-e-Islami, and the party that is being made by the so-called students, they aren't really students at all, they belong to the Islami Chhatra Shibir, the National Citizen Party, even that has got no traction at all with the people. The people are not going for their rallies. They're spending a lot of money having iftar parties and taking 100-car convoys. Where's all the money coming from? So the situation is a lot of dissatisfaction. We have to, of course, keep a very close watch on the situation, and we would like there to be very early elections that are free, fair and inclusive. We've said that we will deal with the elected government, and we will do that, but the election...
before I bring in General Hasnain, I also want your response on how India has reacted as a nation. So yes, we saw a statement from a ruling party chief minister or Assam chief minister, Himanta Sarma, but we also saw a statement from Congress party's leader, Gaurav Gogoi. We also saw a statement from Trinamool Congress's Abhishek Banerjee, who said it's a disgusting remark by Muhammad Yunus. Deeply concerning and unacceptable, says Gaurav Gogoi, Congress party leader. Isn't that the best response? India speaks in one voice, Ambassador Sikri, that message goes across loud and clear?
Absolutely. I think it's very good, and I think it's good that the government of India kept quiet and following the situation, and all the people belonging to the neighboring states of Bangladesh, whether it is West Bengal, whether it is the Assam, and they have spoken up. And this is very, very good, because them speaking up shows that the states adjacent to West Bengal, what he is describing as the Seven Sisters, they are speaking in one voice, and they will not let Bangladesh do anything to affect the sovereignty, territorial integrity of India. And they will be as one with the government of India, with the central government of India, with everybody. The Congress party has also spoken, and this is very good. So I think that the message has gone out loud and clear. And I think that this has only hastened the demise of the Yunus regime in Bangladesh, because the people of Bangladesh are fed up. Their factories are closing. There was a report, for example, the other day, how Bangladesh is wanting to get cotton, for example, that they get from India. They're trying to get it from Pakistan, from the West, and it's taking them 45 days, and with delays and higher prices compared to India, which comes in 2 or 3 days. But still...
absolutely. And much cheaper. Electricity that's so much cheaper than they would get from anywhere else. But then, unfortunately, they seem to be cutting their nose to spite their face, General Hasnain. And this is where does lack of border fencing along the India-Bangladesh border, and Union Home Minister Amit Shah recently raised it in Parliament, does that remain a major cause for concern, that a major part of it still hasn't been fenced?
Well, Gaurav, yes, that definitely is a matter of concern, but I don't foresee an immediate kind of a solution to that, because this will have to go through a fair amount of negotiation. But to come back to your question regarding the Indian response, I did hear your remarks earlier too, which I thought you were completely bang on, that this is a dream kind of a response from India, where you find complete consensus. My mind only goes back to 1994, where we had all-party resolution, all the parties coming together 22nd of February to say that the whole of Jammu and Kashmir belonged to India. This is exactly the kind of thing which is happening in the Northeast at the moment. And I hope this will continue. As far as the issue of the Bangladesh army is concerned, I do have one opinion. I think this is probably the most important entity in Bangladesh today. And Waqar Zama is a very important individual personality in this whole game. And I hope that he remains stable and remains in power, because he will make the difference at the end.
That's a very pertinent point you're making there, sir. Ambassador Veena Sikri and General Hasnain, as always, many thanks for joining me here on India Today. And we'll be tracking developments in Bangladesh and the region very, very closely, because Bangladesh under Muhammad Yunus may want to cut its nose to spite its face, but that can't be at the cost of India's security. That's very clear. Will Prime Minister Narendra Modi grant him audience and meet him on the sidelines of BIMSTEC summit in Bangkok? That's another story we'll be tracking very closely.